He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Tuesday night that finds the Florida Gators at Cameron Indoor Stadium for the first time in 27 years. Hard to believe Florida has not visited Cameron Indoor Stadium to play Duke in basketball since all the way back in 1998. It did not go well for Florida that night. So far tonight, the Gators, big underdogs, holding their own. 19 apiece with Duke at the under-8 timeout. Kind of a defensive battle at Cameron Indoor. Either that or both teams are having trouble shooting the ball, and that's been Florida's problem early on in the year. They got maybe the best front court in America. Those two guards they brought in the transfer portal, Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan, yikes, they're just not shooting the ball very well, and that's putting it mildly. We will keep you updated, but Florida and Duke in the ACC SEC Challenge 1919 up at Cameron Indoor with about 7:40 to go in the first half. It is a Tuesday night that finds the college football playoff rankings out, the newly released playoff rankings. We will certainly spend some time on those in just a little bit as you kind of get an idea now of what's going to happen, because a lot of these teams that are in these rankings don't play this week, including Notre Dame, including Miami, who was ranked higher tonight. That's going to be a big topic of conversation. We'll let you know in just one moment. And it's a Tuesday night that finds us that much closer to the AFC South showdown on Sunday, Everbank Stadium. The Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, you'll hear it right here Sunday at 1 o'clock. A battle of 8-4 teams, with the winner on Sunday having first place outright in the AFC South. We will preview that game coming up here in the 8 o'clock hour. My buddy Mike DeRocco, D-Rock of ESPN.com. We will talk Jaguars and Colts with Mike DeRocco. We will also go to Gainesville later on tonight. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com, to talk about the fallout of the John Sumrall hire with Florida. Why did it not work out with Lane Kiffin? So we got a lot to do tonight. We are with you till 10 o'clock. And as always, Jacksonville, we are glad you are spending part of your Tuesday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So earlier today, I was going through YouTube and just searching Jaguars because I like to get an idea of what some national folks are saying from the NFL Network or from, ESPN, CBS Sports HQ, all the various places, certainly. And when I was searching Jacksonville on YouTube, for some strange reason, and I really don't know why, it just happened to pop up in my feed, that weird Zoom press conference with Trent Baalke and Shad Khan popped up in my feed. That was the day that Doug Peterson got fired. That was the day that we all thought that Trent Baalke was going to remain the general manager and that the Jaguars were going to start a head coaching search with Trent Baalke being one of the leaders of it. And I thought, wow, first off, that's weird that would pop into my feed, but that aside, I'm going to use it tonight because it was bizarre that it happened. And then I look at the date, January 6th, 2025. And I thought, wow, that was this year. I mean, you kind of know it was this year. Obviously, it was after last season. but that was 330 days ago. It'll actually be 11 months to the day on Saturday, January 6th of 2025. And here we sit today, December 2nd, 2025, the same calendar year, 330 days later, and you think about everything that has transpired to the point where after that weird Zoom press conference 11 months ago, now the Jaguars sit with Liam Cohen as the head coach, with James Gladstone as the general manager, with Tony Boselli as the EVP of football operations at 8-4 in first place in the AFC South and getting ready for what probably is the biggest regular season home game the Jaguars have played in the last 3 football years. It's wild to think about how life can come at you so fast, right? That Trent Baalke Zoom press conference, remember when Shad said that, well, we might interview coaches, and if they have some better ideas, we might think about that. And I remember the look on Baalke's face. It was just odd. It was bizarre. It was strange. And we've gone from that to where we are now. Liam Cohen, arguably in the conversation for Coach of the Year. You got a general manager in James Gladstone that's not afraid to mix it up a little bit, make trades, i.e. Jacoby Myers, Tim Patrick among them. You got an EVP in Tony Boselli that, to me, is exactly what this organization needed. And you got one of the surprise teams in the league now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, playing at home on Sunday in the month of December with first place in the AFC South on the line. It just kind of struck me how quick life comes at you, man. Less than a calendar year. And you think about everything that has transpired. And now you think about everything that's in front of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 week at a time, no question. No question. But we on 1010XL, you, the Jaguar fan base, we have the luxury where we can look ahead a little bit. We can look ahead and take a brief glimpse at what is to come. You still got a game against the 3-win Jets. You still got another game against the worst team in the league, the Tennessee Titans. You play the Colts again up in Indianapolis. You get them twice in 4 weeks. And you get an opportunity to play one of the better teams in the league in Denver. Maybe make a statement prior to the playoffs. This AFC South division is going to come down to the wire, man. The Jaguars at 8-4, the Colts at 8-4, and the Texans at 7-5. There is no doubt on paper, on paper, the Jaguars have the easiest of those schedules with 5 games remaining. You look at Indianapolis, they come here on Sunday, they go to Seattle, they get San Francisco at home on Monday night, they get the Jaguars at home, and then they have to go to Houston. That is brutal. And you look at the Texans. They go to Arrowhead on Sunday night this week to play a desperate Kansas City Chief football team. Houston does get what you think would be 2 layups with Arizona and Las Vegas. But then they also have to go play at the Los Angeles Chargers. And then they get Indianapolis at the end of the year. Whereas Jacksonville, of their last 5 games, 2 of them are against arguably 3 or 4 of the worst teams in the league, with the New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans. It's all right in front of us. All right there. And it begins Sunday at 1 o'clock as the Indianapolis Colts roll in here to Jacksonville, a place that they have not won, mind you, since September of 2014. Over 11 years since the Indianapolis Colts have won a football game here in Jacksonville, Florida. That is wild. Wild to think about. Makes it fun. Makes it fun. I'll tell you this. What's going on here right now in Jacksonville is probably considerably more fun than we would have ever had Trent Baalke in that Zoom press conference come to fruition and he still be the GM and he would have been involved in the head coaching search. Again, less than 11 months from that to where we are now. Crazy to think about. More on the Jaguars coming up in about 15 or so minutes, about 20 minutes or so. Mike DeRocco, my buddy D-Rock of ESPN.com, does join me. By the way, keeping you updated on Duke and Florida. Duke is beginning to pull away a little bit. They lead the Gators 30-21. Here's what I'll say about Florida basketball. And again, we'll keep you updated here. You can't replace three guards that are in the NBA. You just can't. Will Richard is playing big minutes for Golden State. Walter Clayton is playing big minutes for Utah. Elijah Martin got drafted by Toronto. He's currently in the G League, but he's blowing the G League up. He's one of the best young players in the G League. Florida's got a great front court. This backcourt that's trying to replace Clayton, Richard, and Martin is, they're bad. I mean, they're paying Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee a lot of money in the NIL world out of the portal. It's not been good. It has not been good at all. The front court can only do so much, and Duke is really taking it to him right now. Florida down 11, 3:40 to go in the first half. We will keep you updated. We will get into the college football playoff rankings coming up next. They were released about an hour ago. Again, a lot of these teams play on championship weekend. Some of these teams do not. You look at the rankings tonight, this is the first week that's a real indicator. Notre Dame doesn't play this week. Miami doesn't play this week. Who was ranked higher? Because whoever's ranked higher of those two this week, one would think would be ranked higher next week, right? You can't build your resume anymore. Where did Ole Miss go after Lane Kiffin left? Interesting college football playoff rankings. And, oh, by the way, Gator fans, your next head coach, John Summerall, he plays the conference championship game on Friday night with Tulane. Are they in position now with a win to make the college football playoff? We'll talk about all of it next. Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday night here in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Get hit by the man in the back, Tommy Mack.
I'm bringing you straight to the gridiron to show you what it's like to put on the Jags helmet and pads.
Fridays on Jaguars Today. On Locks by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
Hey gang, Prosser here. When it comes time to sell your home, don't worry about any, quote, problems you think might be related, because I've got the perfect team that will keep you right on track. In fact, they've got a guarantee that you can't beat. And that is Chad and Sandy, the agents I would call to sell my home. You see why? Your home sold guaranteed or they will buy it. Need to sell now? Chad and Sandy have instant offers. Fast, easy, and stress-free. But the promise is this. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Jacksonville homes are selling, but many take months and a low price to sell. Getting top price means aggressive marketing. Chad and Sandy Newman are the Jacksonville experts who have proven systems to drive demand to sell your home. Darcy in San Jose said, I felt too isolated in my retirement. I wanted to buy in a different area, better suited for me. I spoke to several agents who didn't seem to care. I needed to find someone I could rely on. In come Chad and Sandy, and in 3 days, the home was sold. ChadandSandy.com or 904-414-6200.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Number 91 joins number 55. Eric Armstead brings his big resume to Helmets and Heels Fridays at 3. Tuned up by orthopedic specialists of Jacksonville. Move better, live stronger. Jacksonville's trusted orthopedic experts.
The wait is over. Sunday, December 7th, your Jacksonville Jaguars return to Everbank Stadium for a massive division showdown against the Indianapolis Colts. This is more than just a game. It's a statement. Touchdown, Jacksonville! The Jags are back home and ready to turn up the heat in their iconic Prowler throwbacks. Kickoff is 1 p.m., so pack the bank and make it loud. Secure your seats now at Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We'll see you at the bank.
What if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? Hey, Prosser here, and right now at Loan Pronto, they've got the lowest rates in 3 years. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. One client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off their debt, paid off 2 car loans, saved $2,100 a month. One call, life change. There's no wait, no hard credit pull. You probably won't need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Rates at a 3-year low. Act now. Call 914-999-1508 or visit loanpronto.com for your free instant home appraisal. See how much cash you can get today. Call 914-999-1508. See how much cash you can get today. You can also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit, visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Hey, is your home ready for the holidays? Hicken here. Spots are filling up fast. Lock in yours today at ZeroResJacksonville.com and get 20% off all hard surface cleaning, tile and grout, hardwood, LVP. Happy holidays from all of us at Zero Res.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Tomorrow is tomorrow is the most important day of the year here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. It'll be the 2025 Tom Coughlin J-Fun Radiothon. You know, it never ceases to amaze me the generosity of people in our community to help families with children battling childhood cancer. We started doing this thing, it's been a long time now. I don't even know what year this is, but it's been going for well over a decade. And, you know, the first year, I couldn't believe the money that was raised. And, you know, you go through the years, and that original year gets doubled and then tripled. And, I mean, we're talking, what was it, $250,000 last year that was raised during the Tom Coughlin J-Fun Radiothon. The generosity of people here in Northeast Florida to help their neighbors who have children that are battling childhood cancer is unparalleled. And it's like I always say, man, we got a lot of differences in this world, certainly. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a Gator or a Seminole or a Bulldog or a Hurricane or a Jaguar or a Steeler or whatever. And if you want to take it to a bigger picture outside the sports world, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or any of that stuff. One thing we can all agree on, right? One thing that everybody listening to me right now, whether on the radio or on the stream or on the app, one thing we can all agree on, No matter your background, no matter your political views, no matter your sports fandom, none of us want to see families suffer any more than they already are who have children battling childhood cancer. And if that means that we can take $115 or $120 or even more, however much you can take, and give to these families to help them out, maybe put gas in their car, maybe put groceries on the table, maybe pay a light bill, who have to quit their job to take their little boy or little girl to the hospital for treatment and have to be at home with them as they're battling this disease. It's the most important day of the year on the radio station. It kicks off tomorrow morning with the drill, the 2025 Tom Coughlin J-Fun Radiothon. We'll have guests on all day tomorrow, families that have benefited from the J-Fun because of the generosity of you, the hardworking men and women of Northeast Florida. And again, it starts tomorrow morning. It'll run all day, and certainly something that we do. It's something that needs to be done, and it's one day a year for us. But the great work that the J-Fund does is 365 days of the year. Tomorrow is the Radiothon, and we do hope you join us, and we do hope, if you're able to, if you have the financial means to donate to these families. And like I always say, not for all of us. I don't want to stereotype all of us. But $100 to some people listening, what is that? A night out on the town, right? You take that $100 that you were going to spend a night out on the town and you donate to these families to help them who have children battling childhood cancer. It's the best $100 you'll spend the entire year because of the good work and the benefit that it'll have. So we'll do that tomorrow here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Talking sports with you on a Tuesday night. We are certainly glad you are with us here on Hacker After Dark. Mike DeRocco, D-Rock, ESPN.com, previewing Jaguars and Colts. That comes up in less than 10 minutes. College football playoff rankings got released earlier this evening. Big changes at the top because of the loss by Texas A&M to Texas. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2. Let me stop right there. Those two teams play each other in the Big Ten championship game, 1 versus 2, on Saturday. Now, there's no doubt, Denmark, that both of those teams are in. Ohio State and Indiana are both in. My question to you is, the winner absolutely gets a bye. Does the loser of Ohio State, Indiana get a bye, or could they be relegated to having to play in round number 1?
It depends on the game, but I lean more than likely that both of those teams are going to have a top 4 seed.
I would tend to agree with you. Georgia is 3. I think a win by Georgia, they get a bye. A loss by Georgia, they're probably playing in round 1. Same thing with Texas Tech. Texas Tech's undefeated, right?
They lost to Arizona State.
They did lose one.
They had a backup quarterback plan.
All right, so they were undefeated with their starter. So Texas Tech, probably the same thing. If they win the Big 12 championship game, they probably get a bye. If they lose, they're probably playing in round 1. So there is something at stake, certainly, even for the teams that are guaranteed to be in. 5, Oregon. They're obviously not in the Big 10 championship game. They're in the playoff. They're probably playing in round 1. I don't see them moving up, not playing this week.
Weren't they just 4? And they get moved back?
No, A&M was 3 and got moved back. Alabama, I'd have to go back last week. I thought Oregon was 6 last week. Maybe they moved up to 5. I don't think they were in the top 4. I want to say the top 4 last week was Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia. And A&M moved from 3 all the way down to 7 with the loss to Texas. But again, Oregon is 5. I would be surprised if they get a bye. Ole Miss is 6 after the departure of Lane Kiffin. They're comfortably in the field. They're probably going to get a home game in round one. A&M's probably the biggest loser, 11-1 in the SEC. They're going to be playing in round one. After losing to Texas, they're not going to get a bye anymore. They're in the playoff, but they're going to be playing in round one. Oklahoma at 8, they're a shoo-in, right? Oklahoma at 8, they're absolutely in at 10-2. Now here's where the questions begin. Alabama comes in tonight at number 9. Playing on Championship Saturday is not supposed to hurt you. That's at least what we've been told. Will it hurt Alabama? If they lose to Georgia to get their 3rd loss of the year because they're already number 9, they're a bubble team as is. If they lose in Atlanta, Denmark, are they out of the playoff?
No, sir.
All right, well,
They went up to 9. The committee did that purposely because if they lose, unless they get blown out, if they lose within 10 to 13 points, they're in the playoff.
What if BYU wins the Big 12 championship?
And that's where it gets sticky.
Because if BYU wins the Big 12 championship and Alabama loses, Alabama's probably in trouble because BYU comes in at 11. Here is why I'm very angry if I'm a Miami Hurricane fan tonight. Miami's regular season is over. Notre Dame's regular season is over. Both teams had 2 losses. Miami beat Notre Dame on opening weekend. Notre Dame is 10. Miami is 12. Denmark, I don't see any way Miami jumps Notre Dame. Neither team plays this week. Notre Dame's 2 spots ahead of them. What the committee has told us tonight is really early season games. It's a terrible message they're sending, may not matter because Miami's got the head-to-head. They have the same number of losses. You could argue Notre Dame has, quote, better losses, but one of them is to Miami, yet Miami's going to be on the outside looking in if this thing plays out the way I think it is.
And I'll give you one more. Alabama lost to Florida State. Everybody forgets about that. And when we have this debate every year, when we have the 14 playoff, we have the 12 now. In a couple of years, it's going to be 24 because so many teams now are going to be complaining that they didn't get in, and that's just how it's going to be, and everybody's going to make more money. We don't debate who's better. We debate who is not worse.
Well, no, but in this case, I am debating who's better because Miami beat Notre Dame.
Right, but the committee will tell you that Notre Dame gets in because their losses are prettier than Miami's because Miami lost to Louisville and SMU, and Notre Dame lost to a 11-1 Texas A&M team and a pretty good Miami team.
They lost to Miami. That's the entire argument. The argument to me stops there. Both teams have 2 losses. You can talk to me about prettier losses all you want. If I got a 10-2 team and a 10-2 team, one of them I rank 10th, one of them I rank 12th, and they play each other, and 12 beat 10, then why is Miami behind Notre Dame? That to me is ludicrous. And I'm not a Miami fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I would be fuming pissed if I were J.J. LaSelva or Leon Searcy or any of the other Miami Hurricane fans that we know. Because based on the rankings tonight, Miami's not going to get in the playoff, are they? I mean, how are they going to get in? The regular season is over. They don't play again. They come in at 12 tonight. And keep in mind, a group of 5 has to get in. The highest group of 5 is Tulane at 20. There is an argument, too, that if Virginia wins the ACC, they would get in as the conference champion. I think based on this, Denmark, if you're Miami, if you're Texas, if you're Vanderbilt, the committee has basically spoken, and those 3 teams are probably not getting in the playoff.
No, they're not, and there might be a way. I saw someone talking about if Duke wins the ACC, Miami still have a back way to get in if they want to take an ACC team. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Virginia's going to end up beating them, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty set in stone now. If you are not inside that top 12 and you're not that first team, and you don't play this week, there's not really a way for you to get in.
Well, the crazy thing about Duke, if Duke wins, keep in mind, you're not guaranteed to get in because you win the conference. It's the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. So there's an argument out there that if Duke wins the ACC, you could have 2 group of 5s. You could have the American champion, let's say Tulane, John Summerall's team comes in at 20, And you could also have, a Sun Belt team, somebody along those lines that would be higher ranked than Duke if Duke were to win the ACC with 5 losses. So it would get really squirrely if Duke beats Virginia. What would happen there? I also think if you're a bubble team and you want any shot of getting in, you want Texas Tech to annihilate BYU and get BYU out of there. But again, Notre Dame 10, Miami 12 tonight. Miami beat them head-to-head. The committee has told us that head-to-head basically doesn't matter at all. Texas is 13, and Texas is getting penalized for one thing. Well, really 2 things. Texas is getting penalized for the loss to Florida, which is a terrible loss, but they're also sort of getting penalized for playing Ohio State. And if Texas doesn't play Ohio State, Denmark, in week 1, they're 10-2, and they're likely in.
No question.
Is this going to tell teams now, well, I'm not going to play these big-time games in September because it's going to hurt me more than it's going to help me?
No, because, this isn't the first time that's happened because, remember, Ohio State gets left out. It was the year they lost to Baker Mayfield.
But not in the 12-team playoff.
Right, but I'm saying, but this isn't the first time this has happened where in a playoff era where you schedule out a conference and then people that hold that loss against you, even though it was like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the year, which is dumb. It shouldn't be. If Texas is 10-2, even with that terrible loss to Florida, I still think that the committee is going to have them in the playoff. But the thing is that these networks, like that Texas-Ohio State game from week 1, I think at the time was like the highest rated non-conference or week 1 game ever. The networks are the ones that are running college football, and they're not going to get away from that anytime soon.
And I'll tell you this, too. Vanderbilt probably has a better resume than Notre Dame. But because Vanderbilt's on the logo and Notre Dame's on the logo, Notre Dame's going to get the benefit of the doubt. Vandy's 10-2 in the Southeastern Conference with really good wins. Notre Dame, what's Notre Dame's best win? Southern Cal, I guess? Vandy's best win, LSU, who else did they beat? They beat a couple of other teams as well. They went 6-2 in SEC play, 10-2, and they're not even really in the conversation. Look, it's an imperfect formula. It's better than it was. 12 is certainly better than 4, but ultimately I think 16 is where it's going to land. But again, Miami Hurricane fans, if I'm you, I'm fuming tonight. Because, again, the committee has basically said that head-to-head in September where you beat Notre Dame has meant absolutely nothing because it appears Notre Dame is going to get in over Miami. Back into the college football world in just a bit, but right now back into the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars-Colts, Sunday, 1 o'clock, first place in the AFC South on the line. Let's preview it with my buddy Mike DeRocco, D-Rock, ESPN.com. He joins us next on a Tuesday night here in Northeast Florida. It's Hacker After Dark.
A great drive takes more than a set of wheels.
Fully loaded, I think is the term.
Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game.
Just one thing. Yeah. Don't push any of the buttons on that car.
On 1010XL.
Truth Teller here, and I've solved all of your holiday problems and stress. A gift card from the Blue Crab Crab House. Get this, you buy a $50 gift card, and you get an additional $15 card for free. It's that simple, and as always at the Blue Crab Crab House, the best crabs in Jacksonville, oysters and seafood, period. Blue Crab Crab House, open every day except for Monday off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
Frank Frangie for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville is full of memorable sports moments. Remember when the Jaguars upset the Denver Broncos in the 1996 divisional round as a 14-point underdog and launched them into the AFC Championship? Well, you know who won't upset you? The team at Coil Fencing. Coil is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and has been serving the Jacksonville community for nearly 100 years. From sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love to tough chain link for your commercial project, Coil does it all. Visit CoilJacks.com. That's COILE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, Jason, I'm worried.
You? Really? About what?
Well, I like to have a little seasonal potluck. You know, invite some friends and neighbors and guys from the office. But if the food gets spicy and the party gets rocking and that old toilet in the two-piece can't handle the traffic, well, what if my drain backs up right in the middle of everything?
Dude, imagine you're wearing my sunglasses.
Okay. Shoomp. Whoa.
If you're planning to host a holiday party and a blocked household drain line threatens to ruin the whole thing, call us and tell us. The drain clearing experts at Bueller Aaron Plumbing will unclog your drain for free.
You do that for free?
It's Christmas.
Yeah, but for free?
The holidays can get pretty hectic. If a clogged drain line threatens to ruin the whole thing, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
The holiday season is the season of love. If you're getting engaged now or just looking for that unforgettable gift for the woman you love, Beards Diamonds is here for you. This Christmas, Beards is proud to showcase the world's premier designers in both bridal and fashion. Like Sylvie, personalized, meaningful designs that enhance your unique lifestyle and personality. Celebrate your love, elevate your look, and shine brightly with exquisite jewelry from Sylvie. Celebrating 30 years of design expertise in both bridal and fashion. Beards Diamonds is the town center's local jeweler. So at Beards, you never have to settle for corporate chain store quality. We've put together our best selection ever of exquisite jewelry for the holidays. From the newest designer styles to classic diamond studs and diamond bracelets, with your choice of natural or lab-grown diamonds. Whether your holiday budget is a few hundred or a few $100,000, the experts at Beards will help you find the jewelry that reflects your love. Beards Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
Beaver Toyota, Beaver Chevrolet, and Beaver Mitsubishi are on a mission to sell 2,000 vehicles this December. I've instructed my team to take every reasonable offer. We won't lose your business over price. Thousands of cars, trucks, and SUVs priced to move. Get year-end savings, top dollar for your trade, and the easiest car buying experience ever. But hurry, these deals end when we hit 2,000 and we ain't leaving nothing on the table. Make it a December to remember only at Beaver Toyota, Beaver Chevrolet, and Beaver Mitsubishi.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday, 1 o'clock. It is a big one at Everbank Stadium. 8-4 Indianapolis, 8-4 Jacksonville. First place in the AFC South on the line. The Jaguars have won 4 out of 5, including their last 3 in a row. Let's look back on the winning streak. Let's certainly look ahead to the big one on Sunday with our buddy D-Rock, Mike DiRocco, ESPN.com. Always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Mike, how we doing, man?
I'm good, Hacker. How are you?
Mike, we're good. Thank you so much for the time. I know you were up in Nashville on Sunday. What a dominating performance, Mike. I mean, look, that's what the Jaguars were supposed to do. It's not what they always have done against inferior competition, but clearly they went out there on Sunday, and at least on the road, it was their most dominating victory of the year.
Yeah, you know, I've been wanting to see this team get to the point where they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And when they got to that point, that's when I kind of thought that they had turned a corner. And going up to Nashville, 25-3, they didn't play great in that second half, you know, particularly in the pass game. But they just totally dominated that first half. And, you know, win games like that. And it lets me know, and it lets the fans know, too, that things have changed, that this is not, at this point anyway, right now, this is not a team that's going to fumble and stumble And I know people will say, well, look, they needed OT to beat the Raiders. They needed OT to beat the Cardinals. Yeah, they did, but they won those games. And that's the bottom line.
You know, this season could have gone so much off the rails after the fourth quarter in Houston, and we've seen teams. I mean, go back to, I guess, Chicago last year. They never recovered from that Hail Mary loss to Washington. Teams have derailed after losses like the Jaguars had in Houston with that collapse. And to Liam Cohen's credit, since that fourth quarter, destroying the Chargers, OT win in the desert against Arizona, and then destroying the Titans. Mike, how surprised are you that Jacksonville recovered like they did from that fourth quarter in Houston?
I'll be honest with you, pretty darn surprised because, I looked at this roster and it's about half the guys on this roster were on this team last year, 4-13 at the end of the season for this story that I was writing about how it all went wrong under Doug Peterson. And multiple sources tell me that it was a mentally and physically soft team. And, you can change a little bit about being physically tougher. I think we saw that early on in the season that they changed that a little bit. But I still wasn't sure about the mental toughness of this group. And, I'll be honest with you, the Los Angeles Chargers win and the way they won it, I thought, okay, well, the Chargers are coming across the country. They've got a bye week coming up. It's 10 a.m. their time. The game just got away from them. But the last two wins have really kind of flipped my thinking on this team. They are a mentally tough group. And they're doing it, too, by the way, without a bunch of guys that are injured, including Trayvon Walker. And now potentially Parker Washington based on what that injury looks like. So I've been impressed with the way they've rebounded. And again, it's just another thing that I can point to and say this franchise, this team has maybe started to turn a corner and they're not going to be the joke that they have been for much of the last, 15, 20 years.
Mike Duraco, ESPN.com with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Mike, it's been up and down for Trevor Lawrence. Certainly the last time you and I talked was over a month ago. There's been some good. There's been some bad in that time frame. I thought the first half against Tennessee, we saw a very good Trevor Lawrence. How would you assess his performance during this winning streak?
Solid. Again, you hit the nail on the head with the first half against Tennessee. I thought that was the best he's played all year. He was decisive. He was not panicking back there in the pocket. There was really good protection. I thought the offensive line played pretty well, which is, pretty good considering they were banged up there as well. The question has not been with Trevor, do you know the offense this year? He knows the offense. That's not been the issue. The question has been, can you deliver the ball on time? Are you trusting what you're seeing? And will you just let it rip, which is what Liam Cohen has been preaching for the past month with him. And he did that against Tennessee, and he did that at times against the Cardinals, and certainly against the Chargers. This kid is probably never going to be, the 70% completion guy. He's never going to be talked about up there with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, maybe even Justin Herbert. He's just not going to be up there. Right? And I think we've seen enough to know that. But he's going to be, let me rephrase that. He has the potential to be a very, very good NFL quarterback. And I think Liam Cohen was the best thing for Trevor Lawrence. And if Trevor Lawrence starts to get confidence and he gets the benefit of having guys he's throwing to that he really trusts, then I think he can play like that first half against Tennessee all the time.
And it's about surrounding him with talent, and they certainly did that at the trade deadline. I mean, the Jakobi Meyers trade, Mike, on the surface, 4 games in, I mean, that's an absolute grand slam for James Gladstone, is it not?
Oh, 100%. And it's funny, a couple of weeks ago, Trevor Lawrence talked about Jakobi Meyers, and he says it's kind of hard to explain but from a quarterback's perspective, I'm watching him run, and I just know what he's going to do. I just know he's going to be where he's supposed to be, and people may not. if you're supposed to run a route and you're supposed to round that thing off at 8 yards or 15 yards or whatever the heck it is, and you round it off a yard short or you round it off a yard too long, that's a significant difference. And it can throw the timing and it can throw the success of a pass play completely out of whack. And that happens a lot in the NFL. But when you've got guys that are precise route runners and are where they're supposed to be, sometimes the quarterback is throwing to spots. They're not throwing to a guy. They're throwing to a spot. And I'll say that touchdown in the end zone against the Cardinals to Jacoby Myers 2 weeks ago, where Trevor is fading, falling back because he's got guys in his face, and he just fires it to a spot. And lo and behold, that's where Jacoby Myers is going to be. And that's where he was, and it's a touchdown. That's the kind of stuff that you need. You need precision route runners. And, for the most part this season, it had been a little messy there. But Myers is a guy that is going to be where he's supposed to be. He's going to run the route correctly. And that's invaluable as a quarterback. And it's pretty clear, I think, right now that that's the guy. Him and Parker Washington are probably the receivers, the wide receivers that Trevor trusts the most.
A couple of more from Mike DiRocco of ESPN.com. D-Rock, I obviously want to talk about Sunday and the huge game against Indianapolis, but quickly, got to talk about Joshua Hines-Allen, man. There was a lot of criticism of Hines-Allen earlier in the year, and I think it was warranted, right? He wasn't living up to expectations, certainly to that contract. But good grief. In the last, really since the bye week, I'd say the last 5 games, Joshua Hines-Allen looks like the guy that the Jaguars gave all that money to.
Yeah, without question. And we had this thing in the Power Poll today about the X factor for the rest of the season. And I picked Josh for that. It took him 11 weeks to get his 3rd sack. That gave him the franchise record. And it certainly looks like after that was a huge weight lifted off his shoulder. Because in the last 2 weeks, he's had 3 sacks and a league-high 16 quarterback pressures, which is, by the way, 1 more than Myles Garrett. He seems to be rushing at a different level. And maybe that was because of the pressure of getting that franchise record sack. But he's up to 6 sacks now. And if he continues to play the way he has the last 2 weeks, then I have no doubt in my mind that he'll definitely end up the season over 10, maybe even 12-plus sacks. I mean, he is just playing at a different level right now, and that's what they need, certainly with the question marks surrounding Trayvon Walker's knee.
Mike, it's a big one on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. I think regular season-wise, maybe the AFC South championship game, the finale of 22, and going back to find the biggest home game in the regular season up until now. So we're talking, 3 years maybe. The 8-4 Colts, the 8-4 Jaguars, gigantic stakes on the line in the AFC South on Sunday.
Yeah, and who would have thought that, by the way, when the season started, that this was what we would be talking about it this week. And I think all the pressure in this game is on the Colts. They had a 2-game lead over everybody in the division. That's fallen apart. They're banged up now. Sauce Gardner most likely isn't going to play. Daniel Jones is dealing with a fractured fibula. They're supposed to be the class of this team. Daniel Jones, by the way, also hasn't played at the level he played earlier in the season the last several weeks. So this team that hasn't won here in Jacksonville since 2014, all the pressure is on the Colts. And that's a great spot for the Jags to be in because they can kind of play free. And with Liam Cohen, I don't think we're going to see this team lay an egg in a high-pressure game like this anymore. They may get beat, but I don't think they're going to lay an egg like we've seen so many times before. I think the Jaguars win this game, and I think they win it pretty comfortably too.
It's interesting, and I'm curious because obviously you talk with a lot of people around the league. I think people are stunned when they see the Jaguars are 8-4. I mean, not many people were talking about them. Last week on all the pregame shows, it was the battle for the AFC South between the Texans and the Colts. And here the Jaguars are, and they're in first place heading into Week 14 of the NFL season. Are they flying as under the radar as it appears they are?
Yeah, without question. And I had this conversation with somebody over the weekend. And it was basically, look, if they beat the Titans, they'll be 8-4, and it'll be first place on the line, regardless of what the Colts did. It was going to be first place on the line, this weekend. And it's not going to be until they beat the Colts, if they beat the Colts on Sunday, that the rest of the league, I think, is probably going to stand up and take notice. Because, look, the Jaguars are what they've been the last 2 years. They are what they have been the last 15, 20 years. They'll have a little bit of success. People are skeptical of them. People are skeptical and not believers in Trevor Lawrence. They're always sort of like, budding the Jaguars, but look at who they've beaten. Oh yeah. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Cardinals, they beat the Titans. Those are all bad teams. And they beat the Chargers, but all those things that I talked about before. So there's still a level of skepticism about this franchise outside of Jacksonville. And there should be. Let's be honest, Hacker. That's who this franchise has been, or what this franchise has been. So they win this week. They win convincingly. Then I think the rest of the league is going to take notice of this franchise again.
D-Rock, final question. Mike Vrabel in New England is probably going to get all the love. Ben Johnson in Chicago. And that's warranted, right? They've done terrific jobs with those organizations. But I got to tell you, man, what Liam Cohen inherited here, a 5-18 team in the previous 23 games prior to his arrival, and to have them 8-4 and to be doing it with all the injuries they've suffered. I mean, to lose your second overall pick in practice to a season-ending knee injury and to literally not miss a beat basically since then, Liam Cohen should absolutely get consideration for Coach of the Year.
No question. But you're right. I think Mike Vrabel's probably going to win it. Basically doing the same thing in New England that Liam Cohen has done here. But clearly there's a lot more talent in that New England team than what probably is on this Jaguars roster right now. But the way he's flipped the culture and the way that you hit it with the injuries, I mean, you just go down the list of guys that have been hurt and missed games. You mentioned Travis Hunter, Trayvon Walker, Jordan Lewis, Eric Murray. I mean, there's 3 injuries on the offensive line, and they just keep rolling guys in there at all those spots, and somehow it just works, and they manage to win games. So I do think he deserves absolute, consideration for that award. And depending on how the rest of the season goes, if they win this division and they're in the playoffs with a home playoff game, maybe you could even argue that he deserves it over any of those guys that you mentioned. But he certainly should be in consideration.
Mike, it's a big one on Sunday. What do you have coming out on ESPN.com heading into the Indianapolis game?
Yeah, we've got a roundtable coming up later this week. There's 3 big games this weekend, that have first place in their division on the line. So big week of games here. We're going to be breaking down the matchup. Me and Colts writer Stephen Holder are going to be breaking down the matchup, and that's going to, I think, run on Friday or Saturday. And just then the normal coverage that we have during the week based on, what Liam Cohen's talking about and Trevor Lawrence is talking about.
Mike DiRocco, ESPN.com. D-Rock, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for taking time out. I'll see you down there in the locker room tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks, Hack.
Tom Coughlin here. Join 1010XL for the J-Fund Radiothon on December 3rd. Every year I'm blown away by your generosity, and I'm asking for your help again.
The drive to the J-Fund Radiothon is driven by the Nimnicht family of dealerships.
San Jose Collision is hiring for an automotive detailer and porter. If you're detail-oriented, dependable, and love working with cars, apply in person at San Jose Collision in Mandarin. Valid driver's license required.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors. With great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or just stop by the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Their professional design consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
What if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? Hey, Prosper here, and right now at Loan Pronto, they've got the lowest rates in 3 years. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. One client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off their debt, paid off 2 car loans, saved $2,100 a month. One call, life change. There's no wait, no hard credit pull. You probably won't need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Rates at a 3-year low. Act now. Call 914-999-1508 or visit loanpronto.com for your free instant home appraisal. See how much cash you can get today. Call 914-999-1508. See how much cash you can get today. You can also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminex. When mice and rats show up in your home or business, they can be a real pain. You need them out fast, before they have time to multiply. Terminex knows how to shut down rodents and will keep them from coming back to wreak more havoc. When rodents show up, so does Terminex. Don't live with a rodent problem, Terminex it. Visit Terminex.com today to schedule a free inspection online just like I did. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com.
Keep your ball out of the rough with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Get great golf tips from the experts every Saturday morning at 10. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour on 1010XL.
Look around and we know you've got options for gasoline, but those other places, they're not in the business of more. At Shell, that's what you get every day. Members get more rewards, more savings, more special offers. You'll even get 10 cents per gallon off of your first fill when you sign up and save on every fill after that. Choose to get more and more with every drive. Join the Shell Fuel Rewards program today at fuelrewards.com. Offer valid at participating Shell locations. Offer must be redeemed within 60 days of registration. Limit 20 gallons. Restrictions apply. Visit fuelrewards.com for more information.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
When you head out for a night with friends or going to the big game, don't forget the best game plan to win the night is to designate a driver and guarantee a safe ride home. Hydrating between buds is the best play you can make. Bud Light, reminding all to drink wiser.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
You like winning? This is former Jaguar linebacker Tom McManus, and I'm excited to introduce you to J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling of Greater Jacksonville. If you're a property manager, contractor, builder, realtor, or homeowner, get that feeling of success with less stress. I've used them. My friends have used them. So get your free junk removal and hauling estimate today. Now, I call that a win. Veteran-owned and operated J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. Call 506-1256. We haul it all.
The wait is over. Sunday, December 7th, your Jacksonville Jaguars return to Everbank Stadium for a massive division showdown against the Indianapolis Colts. This is more than just a game. It's a statement. The Jags are back home and ready to turn up the heat in their iconic Prowler throwbacks. Kickoff is 1 p.m., so pack the bank and make it loud. Secure your seats now at Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We'll see you at the bank.
Hey folks, Ronnie here with Brandon Roofing. If your roof's got more leaks than your Uncle Jerry after too much eggnog, we've got you covered. Whether you need a quick repair or a full roof replacement, our team works faster than you sneaking out of your in-laws' holiday dinner at Christmas. Give yourself the gift of a roof that actually listens when you say stay together. From our family at Brandon Roofing to yours, have a Merry Christmas, even if you're spending it hiding in the garage. Visit us at BrandonRoofing.com. That's BRANNAN.
Ah, family's here. Ready for a perfect holiday?
Honey, the toilet's overflowing.
What? Now? With everyone here?
The sink's backed up too. Cool, it's like a water park in here.
Great.
best holiday ever.
Don't panic. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. They'll fix it before we're swimming in mashed potatoes.
Got a holiday plumbing disaster? Call Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing pros. DuckDuckRooter.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock, as we do every night, right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we will go to Gainesville. Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. We'll talk about the fallout of the hiring of John Sumrall as the brand new head football coach at the University of Florida. We will also talk about why Lane Kiffin is not the head coach at the University of Florida. Andrew Spivey's got some pretty, I'd say, passionate thoughts about that, Gator fans. I think you'll find that pretty interesting. He will join us coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. Also, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com, talking Jags, Colts. He's also the main college football guy at A to Z Sports. We'll talk about Mike Norvell returning to Florida State and the coaching carousel in the Southeastern Conference. And it's not over yet, right? We know Arkansas's got a new coach. Auburn has a new coach. Florida, certainly. LSU, Ole Miss, and Kentucky is going to have a new coach as well. You're going to have name tags at SEC Media Days next week, or next year rather. 6 of the 16 schools in the Southeastern Conference will have brand new head coaches in 2025. Speaking of the Gators, they have battled back against Duke. They only trail by 6. They were down double digits approaching halftime. There's 13 minutes to go in the second half. Duke leads 44-38. Florida's issue tonight is what their issue has been for the first 7 games, and it hasn't gotten any better yet. They can't shoot. Their front court is probably the best front court in America with Chinyelu, Houck, Condon, and Hanlogden. Their back court cannot shoot. Boogie Flan has been a huge disappointment. Xavier Lee has not been very good. Clavsar's been all right, but he can't do it all by himself. Florida's battling, but they're not getting any help from those 2 guards they brought in the portal. So we'll keep you updated, but Duke leads by 6. 13 minutes to go in the ACC SEC Challenge at Cameron Indoor. Denmark, as we shift gears to week 14 of the NFL real quick, have you taken a look? I mean, obviously, we're all about Jaguars Colts here. Have you taken a look at the schedule, though?
Terrible.
No, I completely disagree.
Or I might be looking at something different.
I think you're looking at something different, man. It starts Thursday night.
That's a good one.
Dallas, Detroit, 6-5-1 Dallas against 7-5 Detroit. That is an enormous game. Cincinnati goes to Buffalo, and you say, well, Hacker, why do you bring up Cincinnati? Cincinnati's 2 games out of their division lead. Even though they're 4-8, they're only 2 games back of Baltimore and Pittsburgh, who are both 6-6. Oh, by the way, Baltimore and Pittsburgh play each other on Sunday in a huge game in the AFC North. It's probably a must-win for Cincinnati against Buffalo. You also look at the Colts-Jaguars, obviously. Bears-Packers, an enormous game in the NFC North. Texans-Chiefs, again, gigantic implications there in the AFC playoff picture. And even Monday night, Philadelphia and the LA Chargers, both teams at 8-4, both teams needing to win to keep their playoff positioning. I think week 14 of the NFL on paper, probably one of the best weeks we've had of the entire year. And it comes down here locally to the Jaguars and the Colts. We'll start diving more into this tomorrow. And as the week goes on, I'll be down in the locker room tomorrow at the Miller Electric Center. I'm looking forward to getting down there, talking to some of the guys. We'll bring you one-on-one conversations beginning tomorrow night and throughout the rest of the week here on Hacker After Dark. But that streak with Indianapolis, that's a topic. Again, you have to go back to September of 2014 to find the last time the Indianapolis Colts have won a game in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, one of the games was played in London, but the other 10 have been played here. And the Colts have lost in miraculous fashion. 2020, the Jaguars won one game the entire year. It was opening day here against Indianapolis. A couple of years ago, the Colts need to win last week of the regular season to get into the playoffs. Jaguars are playing for nothing. I think that was 2021. Jaguars won the game, would knock the Colts out of the playoffs. 11 years, going back to 2014. The Indianapolis Colts have not won a game here. It is a gigantic game for Indy. To me, it's a more important game for Indy because Indy's schedule is harder than Jacksonville's schedule is moving forward. It's an important game for Jacksonville because we're at home. But take next week as a prime example. The Jaguars host the Jets. The Colts have to go to Seattle. If Indy loses this game, staring at a road trip to Seattle next week, they might be on the outside of the playoff picture looking in the next 12 days. Huge implications. We'll talk more about it later in the week and with Ryan Roberts of A2ZSports.com. That comes up towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Coming up next, let's go to Gainesville. John Sumrall, the brand new head coach of the University of Florida. Let's talk about the hire. Let's talk about what went wrong in the courting of Lane Kiffin. My buddy Andrew Spivey is one of my main guys in Gainesville, GatorCountry.com. He joins us next on a Tuesday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us till 10 o'clock, Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
A great drive takes more than a set of wheels.
Fully loaded, I think is the term.
Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game.
Just one thing. Yeah. Don't push any of the buttons on that car.
On 1010XL.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coating. Pool decks, driveways, garages, patios, we coat them all to make your neighbors jealous.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Hosting the family holiday dinner can be a beautiful experience until your kitchen sink backs up before you've even served dinner.
Who tried to wash cookie dough down the drain?
We were making cookies for Santa and the reindeer. The reindeer like chocolate chip, too.
Great. Now we need a plumber and a new garbage disposal.
Superior Plumbing and Pipelining is no stranger to holiday plumbing problems. Don't let plumbing problems disrupt your holiday dinner. Superior Plumbing and Pipelining has you covered this holiday season. Learn more at SuperiorPlumbingJacks.com.
Jacksonville, hunting season is here, and nobody gears you up like Green Acres Sporting Goods, home of the largest archery pro shop in Northeast Florida. They've got everything for all seasons: archery, black powder, and general gun season. Green Acres is a fully stocked Browning dealer with ammo, accessories, and safes. Don't miss out on Florida's Second Amendment sales tax holiday, happening now through the end of the year. Gear up today at greenacresporting.com.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Dr. Kevin Kaplan, team physician for the Jaguars and proud member of Jacksonville's newest orthopedic dream team. At Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville, we brought together 10 board-certified fellowship-trained surgeons, each one a specialist in their field, all working together to deliver smarter, faster care with better results. From sports injuries to joint replacements, we've got the right player for every position. Visit osjax.com and meet your team. That's osjax.com. jax.com.
Learn everything you need to know about the Jaguars on Duval Rundown. I'm Hayes Carlyon. Join me each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 9:04. You can find Duval Rundown on all the social channels of 1010XL.
Driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is now available at the Fresh Market Spirits and Wine. The Fresh Market Spirits and Wine is a new adult beverage store offering spirits, wine, beer, and accessories at A1A North in Ponte Vedra, a first-of-its-kind destination for thoughtfully curated spirits, wine, and beer as only the Fresh Market can. And now, you can get Brackish Vodka at the Fresh Market. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
The holiday season is the season of love. If you're getting engaged now or just looking for that unforgettable gift for the woman you love, Beards Diamonds is here for you. This Christmas, Beards is proud to showcase the world's premier designers in both bridal and fashion. Like Gabriel & Company, luxury jewelry that inspires you. Classic, contemporary, vintage, whatever you desire, Gabriel & Company has bridal and fashion collections made by artisans of love. Choose love, trust, and authenticity. Choose Gabriel & Company. Beards Diamonds is the town center's local jeweler. So at Beards, you never have to settle for corporate chain store quality. We've put together our best selection ever of exquisite jewelry for the holidays. From the newest designer styles to classic diamond studs and diamond bracelets, with your choice of natural or lab-grown diamonds. Whether your holiday budget is a few hundred or a few $100,000, the experts at Beards will help you find the jewelry that reflects your love. Beards Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. If you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space and just haven't pulled the trigger, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures right now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business. Spring will be here before we know it. So give them a call today and upgrade that area that needs it the most. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Did you know that an annual coating inspection can extend the life of your building by years? Catching early signs like hairline cracks, fading, and moisture intrusion helps prevent costly repairs down the road and keeps your property looking its best. Our team at Performance Painting helps you stay ahead of maintenance with professional inspections and long-lasting coating solutions. Protect your building, protect your budget. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a free inspection. Performance Painting, repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Some auto shops love giving your wallet a flush every time you visit. Not AA Automotive. They fix only what needs fixing, nothing more. Honest, fast, and fair. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street. Boring name, awesome service, and no wallet flush.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Florida Gators have a brand new head coach, Jon Sumrall. After 2 years at Troy and the last 2 years at Tulane, Jon Sumrall will take over the University of Florida. How did the Sumrall deal come to be? Why did Lane Kiffin not end up in Gainesville? And what about former Jaguar GM Dave Caldwell taking that same position at the University of Florida? We got a lot to talk about with that. One of our main guys in Gainesville is Andrew Spivey of GatorCountry.com. Andrew's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Andrew, have you come up for air in the last 36 hours?
I mean, it's been wild. You know, the last 2 weeks, my poor iPhone has been running hot. It's, you know, all day, and you know, it's part of the job. It's part of the coaching search. You know, it's fun at the beginning and fun at the end, and everything in between just sucks.
Well, it was a crazy ride for the last couple of weeks. First and foremost, let's talk about Jon Sumrall. He is the man now in charge at the University of Florida. How did the Jon Sumrall to the Gators situation come to be?
Yeah, you know, Jon Sumrall was plan B from the get-go. I do know that for a fact. That's not going to be some PR stunt that Scott Strickland throws out there today. And that's somebody that turnkey and everyone identified early on that if you missed on Lane Kiffin, John Summerall was your next best hire. I think that it was a good hire. I think that it's, he set himself up to be that guy with success. And, you look at the other names that were around, Golish and Silverfield, some of the other names that's come about. John Summerall has just as good, if not better, credentials than they do. So, I think they got their man after Lane Kiffin didn't produce. And if you ask some people, they got the guy they wanted in the first place anyway, because he didn't really want Lane.
More on John Summerall in a moment, but let's not bury the lead. Why is Lane Kiffin not the head coach of the Florida Gators?
Scott Strickland. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, he can't give up control. I mean, the meddling he wants to do is the facts. He wants to have somebody who will listen to him, and he wants to make sure he has someone in power that will listen to him. He has David Caldwell now in power to do that as the GM, and Lane Kiffin wanted to bring his own GM and Billy Glasgow, and he didn't want to answer to Scott Strickland as far as who he hires on a day-to-day basis and stuff like. Scott Strickland can't stand that, and you're not going to get the elite of the elites to come to you if they have to ask permission to go buy toilet paper at the store per se. It's not going to happen. And until that changes, Florida's always going to have to hope that they hit diamond in the rough. And, now is John Summerall that diamond in the rough? I don't know. I have my opinions that he can be pretty good, but he's not Lane Kiffin from day one. He doesn't win the press conference, so Summerall's going to start in the black already, because he's going to have to, get himself, up to speed and get himself in favor by the Gator fans. And Lane Kiffin wouldn't have had to do that. Lane Kiffin would have walked unseen and, been an instant win and a home run hire, but he would have came with some of his baggage. But what great coach doesn't have something that you don't like?
Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. And there are a lot of reports out, Andrew, and what you're saying is basically the same thing. Was that the biggest sticking point? Was that Lane wanted to bring in his own GM, Strickland wanted an NFL GM with NFL GM or something along that line, that type of experience, and that already got it off to a weird start in the process, and it just went downhill from there?
Yeah, and I mean, everybody knew going into this, Scott Strickland did not want Lane Kiffin to be his coach. I mean, we had been told for years, Scott Strickland does not like Lane Kiffin. He does not like him. And that was very well known to everybody. Lane Kiffin knew that. One of the first things I heard was Scott is going to have to go to Oxford and make Lane believe that he wants him and that they can get along. Well, no offense to Scott, but if you walk in there and the first thing you say is, "Hey, I like you, but I'm going to hire my own GM," you kind of contradicted yourself there, Scott. So, and Lane Kiffin can see through it. And, listen, do I believe for 1 second the governor's not going to meddle in LSU's football program again? Absolutely not. But he was smart enough to tell Lane what he wanted to hear, and Scott wasn't strong enough to do that. And you could have figured out a way to bring Caldwell and Billy Glasgow in together. You could have figured out a way to make that work. Figure that out later. Get your coach to Gainesville and get working, instead of worrying about who is going to answer to you and whatever else. At the end of the day, what Scott Strickland needs to understand is, if a football national championship goes up in the swamp in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in 2 years, nobody cares who says yes and who says no. Strickland gets credit for being the AD. Lane would have gotten credit for being the football coach who hung a national title. Nobody cares who is the hierarchy in answering decisions.
Andrew Spivey of Gator Country. All right, terrific stuff with the Lane situation. Andrew, now let's go back to Summerall, the guy that is in charge. And I'll say this, look, and I'm sure you've heard the same stuff. The Gators are a little bit lucky here. North Carolina, there were a lot of people in Chapel Hill that wanted Summerall last year. Ultimately, the big money boosters up there wanted Belichick. That happened. We see how that's worked out for him. And Summerall was going to get the Auburn job, it appeared, until Florida realized that if they wanted Summerall, they were going to have to get off the expressway to Lane Kiffin pretty quick once they figured out that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he was a hot commodity. I mean, I think if you're talking about it today, he probably would have been in the mix or strong candidate to be the Kentucky head coach where he played. I know some people thought that Ole Miss would have made a run at him had he not accepted the Florida job, and then they ultimately gave it to Pete Golding there. And so, there were several places that were after John Summerall and had interviewed him and liked him and had him as their top candidate. And, I'm not trying to put a spin on this at all, but I will say that I think John Summerall is a good coach. I've said this on a couple other shows, Ryan, and I'll pose the same question to you, and that is, are people mad because Summerall was a G5 coach? Are they mad he's not Lane Kiffin? Or are they mad because he's not a good coach? I've not had anybody tell me it's because he's not a good coach. So if that's true and everybody doesn't think he's a bad coach, well, then it's time to get on the train and see what he can do. Obviously, I think who he hires as his coordinators, who he hires as his coaching staff will be big. His keeping the roster will be big as well. But I think at the end of the day, John Summerall is not a bad football coach. And, I think John Summerall could be a really, really good football coach for Florida down the line. He's a guy that doesn't really get in the middle of his coaches. He lets his coaches coach. He's a fiery guy, a guy that people want to play for, a guy who they say he never meets a stranger, and it's fierce on the sidelines. No more of this laughing on the sidelines when you're getting beat by 40 like Billy Napier was. It's going to be a guy that, if a ref makes a bad call, he's liable to be at midfield fighting that ref.
Well, and one thing, and that's a good point, one thing to remember, too, about Summerall, that's a big difference from Napier. Summerall is a defensive guy. In fact, I believe he's the last defensive-minded coach that Florida's had since Will Muschamp. So you're right, the offensive coordinator is going to be a gigantic hire, and we're hearing some big names, including, I've even heard Brian Dable mention, the former New York Giants head coach, who obviously was a great coordinator in the NFL as well. Do we know anything about the direction Summerall may go with some of these big hires?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard Dabble from the Giants, and I've heard Cade Bell from Pitt. I've heard his name. I've heard Buster Faulkner from Georgia Tech. The Tennessee offensive coordinator, I think his last name is pronounced Halsey, something along that lines. Sorry for the mispronunciation if I did. I've heard those names all being attached there as names to watch, and I think that if any of those names would be big hires. I think if he wants to win over the fan base, Cade Bell from Pitt probably gets that one over, because every fan in America, every time there's a coaching search, thinks Kerwin Bell should be the next coach. So getting his son, from Pitt, who, has a really good offense, has a really good freshman quarterback there as well, I think, could be a major step in the right direction for him. And, he said the right things. He said, last night that he knows having an explosive offense that scores a lot is not something that is needed, but is something that is a must in Gainesville. And so he understands that. He knows that. And, as a defensive-minded guy, hiring an OC who is, very confident in their abilities and can come in and score points would be huge for him.
All right, so John Summerall is in. The question now is the roster. And again, we're so new into this. I mean, after Saturday night's performance, the first call he had to make was Jaden Baugh, correct?
Yeah, and I mean, there's been conversations already with Baugh. about what the number's going to be that he's going to need to return and all of that. And, I think that that's something that, will be addressed. Good thing is you got a couple weeks before they can hit the portal. Obviously, you don't want to wait on those conversations until then. You want to make sure you have every I dotted and T crossed before you get to that way, so that that you've got him locked up and he's not going to enter the portal and enter that crazy free agency world that college football is nowadays. But there are several guys, Miles Graham's another one that's big. VB3 is big. Dallas Wilson is big. Those guys that have contracts with NILs that are up here soon. Those are the ones that are big that you're going to have to go out and retain. And I think he can. I think Florida definitely has the money to. And I think those guys, once they meet him, will be fired up and will want to play for him.
What about DJ Lagway? What is his thought process, in your opinion, about 2026?
Yeah, the good thing about him is he has a 3-year NIL contract. He's the only player Florida has ever signed to a 3-year NIL deal. So he still has an NIL contract deal for next year. And, it's a substantial number, more than he'll find on the open market right now. That's for sure. So, I expect DJ will be back. He said multiple times he loves Florida. He loves Gator Nation and he wants to be there. And I think Summerall and whoever he goes out and gets to be his offensive coordinator will come in, and those guys will, probably find another quarterback to compete with DJ, and then the best man win. And you kind of hope that DJ having a full off season of work, hopefully he gets that without any injuries, can regain some of the form that he has as a freshman. Do I think DJ can be as good as he was his freshman year? No. Do I think he's as bad as he showed this year? No. So he's somewhere in between that. You just got to regain those mechanics. Mechanics were so bad that if he can regain those mechanics, he could possibly be, your starting quarterback as well. But you can't go into next year with that up in the air. You got to have somebody be able to come in and compete against him.
Final moments, Andrew Spivey, GatorCountry.com. Andrew, we got about 2 minutes left as we wrap up. Gator fans are angry, not at John Summerall, but as you mentioned, at Scott Strickland. Winning cures all, right? And we saw the press conference earlier today. Obviously, he said all the right things. I think Gator fans eventually will be on board. But is there any chance Scott Strickland's ever going to win them back, anything shy of a national championship?
No. The answer is no. And even if they win a national championship, I don't know that he wins them back and that they don't scream, hey, you got lucky. Because the way the Scott Strickland tenure has played out has not been good. You started off with the failure of hiring guys, and obviously you can look back and say, hey, it was great that you didn't land Chip Kelly or Scott Frost back then, and you got Dan Mullen, but you had to settle with Dan Mullen. Then you went out and your only person you wanted was Billy Napier. That failed. You decided to keep him for year 4 and it didn't work. And then you have all of the smaller sports that, hasn't worked. He's on soccer coach number 3. 2 of his coaches in soccer and women's basketball have been accused of Title IX allegations. You had several things like that have not worked. The only thing that has worked is Todd Golden. And, that's the only one that has worked so far. So Scott Strickland, in my opinion, is somebody that the fan base won't really like and won't, put back in their good graces. And I think that rightfully so, because the moves he's made are not moves made by a guy who is determined to be successful at the highest level, like the University of Florida. And, I hear this all the time, and that is he has that Mississippi State mindset. And, I hate to pile on and say that it's right, but in some ways it is. He has to understand this is the University of Florida, what it's just supposed to be a top tier program. And he's settling, and there's no sense to settle. You have the money and the resources to be as successful as you want, and you're constantly settling for second and third and fourth choices out there. That's not acceptable to the fan base.
Gator fans, check out GatorCountry.com for their terrific content all during the beginning phases of the John Summerall era with the University of Florida. Andrew Spivey of GatorCountry.com. Andrew, I know you're incredibly busy, man. Thank you for the time, and we'll talk soon, pal.
Absolutely, Ryan. Take care, buddy.
Get hit by the man in the back, Tommy Mack.
I'm bringing you straight to the gridiron to show you what it's like to put on the Jags helmet and pads.
Fridays on Jaguars Today. Unlocked by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Truth Teller here, and I've solved all of your holiday problems and stress. A gift card from the Blue Crab Crab House. Get this, you buy a $50 gift card, and you get an additional $15 card for free. It's that simple, and as always at the Blue Crab Crab House, the best crabs in Jacksonville, oysters and seafood, period. Blue Crab Crab House, open every day except for Monday off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
This is Garrett Scantling, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic issue you have. I'm back to my Olympic training, and I feel great.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. Went smooth as silk, was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
I know it's football season, but I know you love basketball too. And youth sports are always in season at the First Coast YMCA. Registration is now open for winter basketball at the Y. Today, more than ever, our kids need to experience the joy of being a kid while also learning the importance of teamwork, respect, and healthy living. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, fun environment with an exciting youth basketball league. Learn more at fcymca.org.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. We always talk about Honda and Triumph, so many great bikes, but Aprilia from Italy is also a beautiful line.
It is absolutely gorgeous, and it is a fine sport bike. It's one that when you take your helmet off, you're never frowning. You're always smiling.
So if you want to treat yourself to something really special on the road, that's a line they should look into?
Absolutely, and we've got them in stock and ready to roll.
All right, make sure you check them out. They are on Atlantic near Regency. CyclesofJacksonville.com is a great place to go, or check out their Facebook page at Cycles of Jacksonville.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Did you know that for every inch of rain on a 2,000 square foot roof, 1,500 gallons come off the eaves of the roof? Call Clearwater Seamless Gutters and Drainage, and we'll design a plan using our Clearwater Seamless Gutters, and we'll connect those gutters to a Clearwater drainage system to solve your erosion and standing water issues.
Clearwater Seamless Gutters. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at gutters. And drainage, too.
SeamlessGuttersJacksonville.com.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Hey, David again here with Royal Pest Services. It's that time of year when rodents start making their way into our homes. Layson, tell them what they need to get in.
A quarter-size hole.
That's right. That's all they need. Hey, tell them where to go for a free attic and exterior inspection.
Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, what a busy time, man. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Huge game in the AFC South. Of course, you'll hear it right here on 1010XL. We know Mike Norvell is going to be back at Florida State in 2026. And we know John Sumrall is now the brand new head coach at the University of Florida. Let's talk about all of it. Ryan Roberts has been one of our guys for years, A2ZSports.com. He does a terrific job covering not only the world of college football, but the NFL and the NFL draft. And Ryan's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ryan, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I was just joking with you before we started, but it's always fun to have some stuff to talk about. You know what I mean? This time of year, you have it might not all be positive conversation, but at least you have some content that you have to get to every day. You know what I mean?
Well, normally you and I in December in the past are talking Jaguar draft. Luckily, we don't have to do that this year. We're talking about the playoff picture, and we'll get to the Jaguars in a moment. But let's first and foremost talk about the crazy coaching carousel, beginning with John Sumrall from Tulane to Florida. He was introduced earlier this week down in Gainesville. Ryan, what was your reaction to the hire by the Florida Gators?
I think the initial, the initial reaction is, for me, first and foremost, is how is it going to be perceived by the people that support the program? And that's obviously from a donor perspective, from the people behind the scenes, but also the fan base, right? And the unfortunate circumstance for Coach Sumrall coming from the G5 at Tulane and previously of Troy before that is that he is a coach that is going to have that G5 label after you just had a not so great tenure under another former G5 coach in Billy Napier at Louisiana. So those parallels exist, and I'm sure that there's probably been some parts of the Florida fan base that aren't happy with a G5 coach for a G5 coach. But when you really kind of get past that, right? Because I don't like stereotyping people without going deeper into the context and their backgrounds, because every coach is different, obviously. I've talked to several people and a couple that know the Florida program very well. And across the board, just from outside perspective, for the people that I respect, most people think that Sumrall was the right hire. They really do. They think that this guy is a superstar in the making, a guy that is on the come up, has continued to trend upward over the last couple of seasons at a couple different programs. And they think that he has the vision to be able to get this Florida Gators program back, because it's going to be, I don't want to call it a rebuild per se in the modern era of college football, but it is a laying of a foundation period right now for Florida. So people that know things that I respect are very high on the hire. I think that Sumrall, for what Florida had in front of them with the Lane Kiffin conversation, and initially it seemed like Florida was in a good standing, and then LSU gets involved, and obviously LSU ends up prying him away from Ole Miss. I think that Sumrall's probably about as good as you could have gone. I mean, I think there could have been some conversation of hey, maybe you should have went harder after maybe an Alex Golash, who ended up obviously at Auburn. But I think that Sumrall, for the situation you're in, has the mindset and the right stuff about him to eventually get this Florida Gators program back. So I like the hire. I think there's going to be some poor optics around it based on the G5 stuff, but I do think that he has this stuff in him in order to get this program back, as long as this fan base is a little more patient.
Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com. Ryan, I completely agree with you. And to me, it's low-hanging fruit, right? He's a group of five guy from the state of Louisiana. So obviously there are parallels to Billy Napier. Couple of big differences, though, that I already noticed. I mean, obviously he's a defensive guy, whereas Napier was an offensive guy, and that certainly didn't translate. And just watching his introductory press conference in Gainesville, he said a ton of stuff. You know, he said what an honor it is to coach Florida, which was a big deal to the fan base. But one of the things that he said is, I love the confidence. He literally said, I'm a winner. I'm going to win. This is a program about winning, and I am a winner, and that's what we're going to do here. So certainly Sumrall is not lacking confidence coming into this job.
And I think Florida was very smart about the timing of everything, too, with the Sumrall situation, because I think they could have stayed in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes maybe for a couple more days. They wouldn't have got him, but they could have stayed there for a couple more days and tried their best to up the offer and do their thing on the back end. But the fact that they bailed out early, I think, was a good move by them, because Sumrall is a hot name. He was linked to Auburn for a while. But Ole Miss, obviously, is a job that just came open and has already been filled by Pete Golding. But there's a possibility that if Florida wouldn't have bailed out and this kind of became a little bit of a longer process for Sumrall, that does Ole Miss come and then you get into a bidding war with Ole Miss and then Auburn maybe comes back to the picture with a bigger offer. Like, these are all hypotheticals, but I do think the fact that you see that there was a high demand for Summerall, you bailed out of the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes early, you made sure that you were able to get your guys so there wasn't a higher demand as things kind of drug on a little bit. It was a great move by the Gators. But I agree with you. I think that he said everything that you need to say in an introductory press conference, everything that you want to hear. He obviously has energy about him. And I even went back to like some old interviews that he did with like Josh Pate, several months ago before the season, just kind of listening to him speak. And I think that he carries himself really well. I think he carries himself very authentic as well. And that's one big thing. And I don't want to throw shade on Lane Kiffin unnecessarily. Well, I actually don't care if I throw shade on it. But, like, in this conversation, I don't think it matters too much. But I don't believe anything Lane Kiffin says, right? Like, nothing comes off authentic. Summerall comes off authentic. It sounds like he's a guy that actually cares about his players and a guy that I think is going to really – I think right now it's about, hey, we need to evaluate this roster. We need to maintain the talent that we want to keep back. But then obviously he's a program builder and a guy that understands different ways to build a program out, which I think is important.
And you mentioned Auburn and Ole Miss. People forget, too, that a lot of big money boosters at North Carolina wanted Summerall last year until the big money boosters came in at the 11th hour and wanted Belichick. And obviously you see how that's turned out. So Florida is certainly getting a guy that is in high demand. Quickly, because I want to move on to Florida State and then finish with the Jaguars. What was your take on Lane Kiffin going to LSU? Boy, it ended really nasty there for him in Oxford.
Man, I have so many mixed emotions on Lane Kiffin. I actually was I wouldn't say a Lane Kiffin supporter, but like Lane was a guy for me that I think that he was playful, when he was at Ole Miss, and he said a lot of things and a lot of things that rubbed some people the wrong way. But he was entertaining to me, but I think the process was really bad on his ends. Like, I think there were several things that he said, several missteps in the process that I just don't really care for, to be honest. So I think it's going to be interesting, man, because he's a little bit of a mercenary coach to a degree. I know some people say, oh, he's 6 years at Ole Miss. Sure. But he's been a guy that has typically kind of gone for the bigger opportunity as soon as it kind of pops up, which some people are for, but then there's also the conversation of like building programs. So I think LSU got a good coach for sure, a great offensive mind, but the whole process honestly did rub me the wrong way quite a bit.
Final moments, Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com. Ryan, all the coaching openings and fillings that are happening in the last, 48, 72 hours, nothing transpired in Tallahassee. As we find out, Mike Norvell will return in 2026. I can tell you Florida State fans around here are less than thrilled about that. This is a program that has not won a road game now in 2 full football seasons, which is crazy to think about. They've also lost 12 of their last 15 ACC games. And on the surface, Ryan, it appears they literally could not afford to fire him. And that is the reason he's going to return next season.
It's always tough with some of these coaching decisions because there's obviously a big financial implication to your point there. And there's also is there a candidate out there that has mutual interest? Because like these coaching, like while it feels chaotic in the last like week or so, right? Like these conversations have been happening for months in a lot of different places. Like Florida's been back channeling to figure out who their next head coach is. Auburn's been doing the same. Florida State, I'm sure, has at least had those conversations on the back end to see what makes sense. But they're a team that I just don't think there was an easy fit. And then the financial implications obviously played into that conversation as well. It feels like it's just a dead man walking conversation. Like I don't think anybody out there thinks that Mike Norvell is going to be the head coach in Florida State in 2 years from now, for instance, right? So it's just a very difficult situation. There's a lot of moving parts to making these coaching carousel decisions. And I just think that Florida State, unfortunately, is in a really tough spot right now.
Ryan, final college football question. Championship weekend is on the horizon. I would say probably 6 or 7 maybe of the playoff spots are already spoken for. I know you're a Notre Dame guy, and there's going to be a big topic of conversation between Notre Dame and Miami potentially for one of those final spots. How do you think it's going to shake out there towards the bottom part of that 12-team playoff?
It's fascinating because there's also the implications of Ole Miss right now, right? Of you have a lot of coaching turnover. Does the committee hold that against them to what degree, right? So like Ole Miss is a very interesting conversation that hasn't previously been a conversation around Notre Dame. But it's going to come down to Alabama, Georgia in the playoffs. Alabama is or in the SEC championship game. Excuse me. Alabama's one spot behind them, so Notre Dame is going to hope that the Georgia Bulldogs are able to win that one, just to kind of solidify things for them. And the BYU Cougars play Texas Tech, and BYU sitting at number 11. So you're going to hope that they don't, if they don't have the upset against Texas Tech, because that could be enough to eventually vault them over Notre Dame as well. If it comes down to, Ryan, and I know this is controversial, and a lot of people don't agree with me on this, if this comes down to a 1-to-1 conversation of one spot remaining, Notre Dame versus Miami, I think that the committee is going to pick Notre Dame. And I think that I believe that because from the onset of this conversation for the playoffs, they made it very clear where they view Notre Dame and where they view Miami. And since then, Notre Dame and Miami have played a lot of common opponents, and the results are almost identical, like to the blowouts that they're having. So I keep asking people, what is the data point down the stretch here that says, nope, Miami's going over Notre Dame? I just don't see it, ultimately. At the end of the day, I hate counting losses, but Notre Dame has 2 high-quality losses, and Miami doesn't. Like, you lost to 2 teams that are unranked football teams. So although the head-to-head conversation matters, it 100% matters, I think when you look at the entire resume and you consider that Notre Dame has won 10 straight football games, maybe not the best schedule in the world, but 10 straight football games by double-digit points every single football game, I think Notre Dame gets in against Miami if it's a 1-for-1 conversation. I really do.
Is there an argument for Vanderbilt? Because they're also 10-2 in an SEC schedule.
I think there would be a stronger, and this is probably another controversial talk, but I do think there would be a stronger conversation for Vanderbilt if they didn't have Vanderbilt on their jersey. Like, I really do, because Vanderbilt has a quality schedule. They have a couple good losses. Again, I don't like calling things good losses, but they have a good losses to what the committee kind of looks at, and they have several good victories. Now, they have a few more cupcakes than like a Notre Dame or Miami has in there, because while Notre Dame's playing Boston College, who's a really bad football team, they didn't have Charleston Southern and Utah State on the schedule. You know what I mean? So, like, they are not 1-for-1 scheduling, but I would say that I think Vanderbilt would have a very good conversation. Unfortunately, the ND emblem, the Miami, the Hurricane, like, those things kind of hold more weight than Vanderbilt. It's unfortunate that we are in that world that we are in, but one school is just going to sell more than the other, unfortunately.
All right, Ryan, leave us with this. Like we said, normally this time of year, you and I are starting to look at the draft for the Jaguars. Boy, not this year. Liam Cohen's first year, 8-4 in first place in the AFC South. They have a gigantic game against Indianapolis on Sunday here at Everbank Stadium. What's been your thought on the Jaguars here in 2025?
I think the great thing is that we've still seen a little bit of that uneven Trevor Lawrence, right? Like, we haven't had like the big boom. I know he had a really good this past game, but the fact that Jacksonville's starting to win in other ways that aren't, just strictly Trevor Lawrence based, I think is a great sign of a foundation being built. And if Trevor starts to play more like he did this past week, and that becomes a more consistent instance, then Jacksonville could be a really tough team down the stretch and into the playoffs and everything, as long as everything shakes their way. So I think Jacksonville's being built really well because they're winning in ways that maybe you didn't think they would win before the season. And Liam Cohen, like, there was 2 realities with Liam Cohen. I thought, he's an offensive guy. He's got great pedigree on that side of the football. Either he's going to be one of these mad genius head coaches going into the year, or he's going to be a dud. And because I didn't think that there was a big, I didn't think there was a lot of areas in between. I thought it was either going to be really good or it was going to be pretty poor. And Liam Cohen has shown that he's building a really good foundation with Jacksonville, and they're going to be a tough out down the stretch of the season.
Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com, does a terrific job covering college football. He's also a big deal with the NFL draft. Ryan, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about A2Z Sports and the coverage you'll have coming in the coming days.
Yeah, all 32 NFL teams, 16 college football markets that we're in as well. If you're a fan of just general college football, NFL, obviously Jacksonville, if you're a Florida Gator fan, all those types of things, make sure you go to A2Z Sports. We'll have updated conversations, analysis, all that type of stuff. You can follow me at Rise and Draft, and anything that you want to see on my feed will be posted on there as well. And as always, man, I appreciate you for having me.
Ryan Roberts. Ryan, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. If I don't talk to you beforehand, happy holidays, bud.
You too, brother. Thank you as always.
And thank you to Ryan Roberts, A2ZSports.com, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Like I was talking with Ryan earlier, normally in December, at least an overwhelming majority of the last few years anyway, we're usually talking Jaguar draft with Ryan. Obviously not this year with the Jaguars being 8-4 and that gigantic AFC South matchup here on Sunday. So we spent some time on that with Ryan, and obviously he's the main college football guy over at A2ZSports.com as well. Really appreciated his insight on John Sumrall and the hire made down there at the University of Florida. And that was an overwhelming majority of the show. Sumrall to Florida, obviously the coaching carousel in college. By the way, championship Saturday or championship weekend coming up, where we will decide who the 12 teams will be in the college football playoff. And then, of course, we previewed the Jaguars and the Colts, and we will certainly continue that conversation all week long here on Hacker After Dark. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Denmark, great job as always. I'm the Hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM.
A great drive takes more than a set of wheels.
Fully loaded, I think is the term.
Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game.
Just one thing. Yeah. Don't push any of the buttons on that car.
On 1010XL.
Mike Dempsey for Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. If your roof's got any damage, if it leaks, if it's just old and ugly, call my friends at Apex Roofing. But Mike, roofs are so expensive. It's true, quality roofing is not cheap, but Apex Roofing has up to 100% financing available, so you don't have to compromise quality for budget. Apex Roofing, no shortcuts, no stress, just quality work with finance.